Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a topic that sounds unbelievable at first, but when you look deeper, it starts to make a lot of sense in today's rapidly changing world. The question is simple but powerful. Why could Greenland be Donald Trump's next major geopolitical target after Venezuela? This is not a conspiracy theory, and it's not just internet speculation. It's a story about power, resources, military strategy, global competition, and the future of the Arctic. It's also a story about how the rules of international politics are shifting in ways many people are not prepared for. After what happened in Venezuela, many analysts around the world began asking a dangerous but logical question. If the United States under Donald Trump is willing to directly intervene and reshape power in one region, where could it move next? And when you analyze American strategic interests, Greenland suddenly stands out more than almost any other place on Earth. To understand this, we need to step back and look at the broader pattern. Venezuela was not just about oil, ideology, or removing a hostile government. It was about sending a message that the United States is no longer content with slow diplomacy when it believes its long-term strategic interests are at risk. The operation showed speed, confidence, and a willingness to absorb global criticism in exchange for control and influence. Once that precedent is set, the global chessboard looks very different. Greenland enters the picture not as a random choice, but as a logical extension of a much bigger strategy. Greenland is the world's largest island, located between North America and Europe, covered mostly in ice, and home to a very small population. On the surface, it looks isolated, remote, and irrelevant to everyday global affairs. But beneath the ice and beyond the maps, Greenland is one of the most strategically valuable pieces of land on the planet. From a military perspective, Greenland is a dream location. It sits directly along the shortest route between North America and Europe. Any missile, aircraft, or naval force moving between Russia and the United States passes near Greenland. That's why the U.S. has maintained military installations there for decades, including critical early warning radar systems. For Trump and his advisors, this isn't just about defense. It's about control. Control of Greenland would give the United States unmatched dominance over the North Atlantic and Arctic regions. It would make it easier to monitor Russian missile launches, track Chinese naval movement, and secure American territory from future threats. In a world where hypersonic missiles and space-based weapons are becoming reality, geography matters more than ever. Greenland's location makes it priceless, but military positioning is only one part of the story. The real treasure of Greenland lies beneath its ice. As climate change accelerates, Greenland's ice is melting at record rates. While this is a global environmental tragedy, it also exposes massive reserves of natural resources. Rare earth minerals, uranium, iron ore, zinc, and potentially oil and gas are all present in Greenland in significant quantities. Rare earth elements are especially important. They are essential for smartphones, electric vehicles, renewable energy systems, advanced weapons, and modern electronics. Right now, China dominates the global supply of these materials. This dependence is seen as a major national security risk in Washington. Trump has repeatedly emphasized economic independence from China. Controlling or heavily influencing Greenland's mineral resources would dramatically weaken China's leverage over global supply chains and give the United States a massive strategic advantage. From Trump's perspective, Greenland is not just land. Its leverage. There is also the Arctic shipping factor. As ice melts, new shipping routes are opening across the Arctic Ocean. These routes can drastically reduce travel time between Asia, Europe, and North America. Whoever controls key Arctic territories will have enormous influence over future global trade. Russia knows this, China knows this, and the United States knows this. Russia has already militarized much of its Arctic coastline. China calls itself a near-Arctic state and is investing heavily in Arctic infrastructure and research. For American strategists, allowing rivals to dominate the Arctic is unacceptable. Greenland sits at the heart of this emerging competition. Now let's talk about politics and mindset. Donald Trump has always viewed international relations through the lens of transactions and power. He doesn't see borders as sacred in the same way traditional diplomats do. He sees assets, liabilities, and deals. Years ago, when Trump first suggested buying Greenland, many laughed. World leaders dismissed it as a joke. Media outlets mocked the idea relentlessly, but Trump was serious then, and he appears even more serious now. After Venezuela, the tone has changed. What once seemed impossible now feels plausible. Trump's supporters see bold action as strength, not recklessness. His critics see danger, but their warnings haven't stopped him before. There is also a domestic political angle. Big, dramatic moves energize Trump's base. They reinforce the image of a leader who acts decisively while others hesitate. In a polarized America, that image is politically valuable. Greenland also fits into a broader revival of old-school American strategic thinking, similar to an updated version of the Monroe Doctrine. The idea that the United States must dominate its surrounding regions and prevent other great powers from gaining footholds near its territory. While Greenland technically belongs to Denmark, it is geographically part of North America. That fact matters deeply in strategic planning circles. Trump's logic, whether people agree with it or not, is simple. If Greenland is essential for U.S. security, and if Denmark cannot or will not prevent rival influence there, then the United States must act. Of course, this brings us to international law and alliances. Denmark is a NATO ally. Greenland has self-rule and its own government. Any attempt by the United States to seize or coerce Greenland would cause a massive diplomatic crisis. It could fracture NATO, alienate European allies, and reshape global alliances overnight. European leaders have already made it clear that Greenland is not for sale and that its future must be decided by its people alone. Greenland's own leadership has repeatedly said they want independence, not annexation by another country. This is where things get complicated. Greenland's desire for independence could actually create an opening. If Greenland eventually becomes fully independent from Denmark, it may struggle economically and militarily. That vulnerability could be exploited through economic pressure, investment deals, security agreements, or political influence. Control doesn't always require flags and troops. Sometimes it comes through debt, infrastructure, and dependence. If the United States offers massive investment, security guarantees, and economic partnerships, Greenland could slowly drift into America's orbit without a single shot being fired. That scenario is far more realistic than a military invasion, but it still carries serious consequences. Now let's talk about global reactions. Russia would see any American move toward Greenland as a direct threat. It would likely respond by further militarizing the Arctic, increasing submarine patrols, and strengthening ties with China. China would view U.S. dominance in Greenland as an attempt to block its long-term economic and strategic ambitions. This could accelerate Chinese efforts elsewhere, from Africa to Latin America to Southeast Asia. Smaller nations would take note as well. If borders and sovereignty can be challenged by major powers again, the entire post-World War Roman II international order begins to weaken. This is why Greenland matters far beyond its population size or geographic isolation. The stakes are enormous. The most dangerous aspect of this situation is miscalculation. If one side pushes too far, too fast, it could trigger reactions that spiral out of control. sanctions, military standoffs, cyber attacks, and proxy conflicts could follow. At the same time, doing nothing is also a choice, and from Trump's perspective, doing nothing allows rivals to gain ground. So where does this leave us? Greenland is not guaranteed to become Trump's next target, but it is clearly one of the most strategically tempting options on the board. It offers military advantage, economic resources, geopolitical leverage, and symbolic power all at once. Venezuela showed that Trump is willing to break norms. Greenland tests how far that willingness can go. The world is entering an era where frozen regions are heating up, old assumptions are collapsing, and power politics are returning in full force. Greenland sits right at the center of that transformation. Whether through diplomacy, economic influence, or more aggressive measures, Greenland will remain a focal point of global strategy in the coming years, and the decisions made there could shape the balance of power for decades. So the real question isn't just whether Greenland could be Trump's next target after Venezuela. The real question is whether the world is ready for what comes next if it is. If you found this analysis useful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Greenland will remain untouched, or is it destined to become the next major flashpoint in global politics? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.